Okay, ladies and gents, are we live? Welcome back to another Asian robot video. Now in this one, I'm actually gonna cover a topic that people have been asking me about. They've been asking me, why should they choose the Pangar Lantern or the Skarn Lantern? And why I commonly use the Skarn Lantern in a lot of my builds. Okay, I'm going to answer that question right now and explain a few things as well. First, you have to understand both lanterns. Okay, so let's talk about this. Skarn's Defiance. Okay, Skarn's Defiance will surround the Slayer in swirling stones that deals 2,500 terror damage to nearby enemies for 10 seconds. It's missing the word enemies. To nearby for 10 seconds. Lol. And it also generates 30 hit point shields per second that expires after 25 seconds. Okay, makes sense, right? Basically, it will give you 300 shields, and if you trigger it again, it will give you another 300 shields, and the max is 600 shields. Okay. Pangars creates a frost pillar in front of you that deals 2,500 frost damage to nearby enemies over 10 seconds. Okay, I'm sure you can understand both types of lanterns. Now, I'm actually going to give myself the draft scale plate here and remove this cell so we don't have to think about etheric attunement. The only reason I'm doing that also is just to ensure that when we do this little video, that we don't have to worry too much about, lantern cooldown. Okay, so first we start out with Skarns. Let's see how much it really does. Okay, Skarns works if you are right next to the behemoth. Okay, you see this? It's dishing out extra damage, and it will go well beyond your 2,500, but it only works if you're up close. Now, if you are a further distance away, now I'll show you again. That was some nice 4,000 damage there. Okay. If you are further away from the behemoth, you see even a short distance away, it no longer does damage. Hey, you feeling me on that? Okay. Let me change things up now. Let me put in the Pangars. The Pangars operates on a very different principle. Now we have to wait for the lantern to cool down, but when you activate Pangars, it will summon a frost pillar. Depending on where you put the pillar, okay, it will deal damage around the pillar. Okay, so let's put one right on the behemoth. Okay, boom. It'll hit the whole behemoth, and it will continue doing that for the 10 seconds. Okay, please note it did slightly more than the Skarns, but obviously it comes without a shield. Makes sense, right? Now, depending on the position of the lantern from the behemoth, say here, it may deal slightly more, slightly less damage. I mean, okay, so it's pretty consistent. The thing is, with Pangars, what you're aiming for, right, is to place it in an area near the behemoth, then you can fire and forget. With Skarns, there is a stark difference if you were to, let's say, use the weapon Chain Blades. Okay? Let's do this again. Now, Chain Blades are something that you're close up with, right? Okay. If I were to put up Pangars down here, and I'm dishing out damage with the Chain Blades, then even if I'm in the air or doing whatever other maneuvers, the Pangars goes on. Makes sense, right? Okay. There's a stark difference with the Skarn. Why? When it cools down, I'll show you. Certain weapons, like the Chain Blades, right? When you're dashing up in the air, you're not doing damage with the Skarn. Okay? But the Skarn is still useful because most people are not using it for the damage, they're using it more for the shields. If you feel you don't need the shields, use the Pangars. Okay, let's activate Skarns. Now when you're right up close, it's fine, but please note, I'm losing damage. Every time I go up in the air, losing damage. See? Do you see how that works? The Pangars is a fire and forget type lantern. The Skarns is a lantern whereby if you're not using it for your shields, you have to stay up close. So how do you do that? I have to stay like relatively close to the behemoth, and even then, it depends on where I'm sitting next to the behemoth, like how many parts I'm gonna hit. Do you sort of see where I'm coming from? Whereas with the Pangars, it's pure damage. You don't have to worry about that. Okay? I'll show you and demonstrate again. I mean, the distinction for me is always that Pangars is for you plop it down, okay? And you don't worry about it anymore. You just don't think about it. The Skarns is great if you need the shields. If you need the shields for survival. Okay? Watch. I pluck down the Pangar. I don't have to think about it. I'm just like, I can dash around, do damage wherever I want. And it will still deal the whole range of damage. Are you following me on that? You can see that compared to the Skarn, like the Skarns will miss out on some damage, no matter what. Because in fights, you're maneuvering. So if you're not running a crit build that requires the shields from the Skarns, feel free to use Pangar. Like, again, what I want to state, and the reason I'm doing this video is because I get a lot of questions on it. The reason I use Skarns is, number one, the shield. I don't care about the damage. I deal enough damage. I just want the shield. Because sometimes that shield is the difference between life and death. I also have a preference for survival. I tend to put survival over DPS in a lot of my builds. Does this mean that my builds are somehow low DPS? No, some of them are the highest damage in the game that you'll find without tonics. It's what helps people to clear things instantly. But I always put a focus on survival because you do 0 DPS when you are dead. Does this mean that the Skarn's Lantern is better than the Pangar's Lantern? No. No. Okay. Use the lantern that you feel will give you the best experience. If you're like me and you prioritize survival, you want to survive, use your Skarn. If you are more concerned on dealing damage, you want to deal the maximum possible damage, use your Pangars. Now, Pangars does have a weakness. Now, what you're seeing is on a stationary target in the training grounds, Pangars has a weakness. A very mobile behemoth will take less damage from Pangars than they will from Skarn. Keep that in mind. That is why I tend to use Skarns a lot when I'm on, like, let's say, okay, maybe not the Chainblades, but let's say I'm on the Pike, where I'm always up close with the behemoth while attacking. Or let's say I'm on the Strikers, and I'm always up close with the behemoth when I'm attacking. That's where I kick out the Skarns. Because I know, you know, we all know, that when you're up close and personal and a behemoth moves, Skarn's coming with you. Pangars is staying there stationary. So on a behemoth that doesn't move a lot, like the Quill Shot, okay, Skarn, several other behemoths that tend to stay in place, you toss that Pangars down, they're going to take a lot of damage. And they might get the chill status effect as well, which is really helpful. But Skarns goes with you. So although you miss out some DPS if you move away from the behemoth, if you're using my sword builds, like the Forbidden Sword build, and you're right up close and personal, like 90% of the time, that Skarn will dish out plenty of damage. Pangars will still dish out more. But again, they move out of the zone, that's it for you. What about the Shadow Touch Nezaga that often goes into Shadow Portals? I mean, you miss out on your Skarn damage, but you might catch the tail end of it, you see? Do you see how that works? Skarns is where you move with the creature. Pangars stay there. Pangar's effect is in an area around the ice pillar. If something moves from that, it will not take damage. So again, it comes down to your playstyle. What do you prefer? What is best for you? I was also thinking of doing several different types of lantern comparisons, things like that. I mean, I thought it might be pretty interesting to do that and to show how all the lanterns in the game work and what you should be choosing. You know, how does it fit into your playstyle? I might do something like that. So look forward to that. I might do that video later or tomorrow, whatever. We'll think about it. But for now, thank you so much for understanding the difference between the Skarns and the Pangars. I hope this has been informative in explaining my personal choices for these lanterns and why I choose things to work the way they do. Okay? So I hope that this helps. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Of course, you want to drop some tips on me to feed me and, you know, help me with my content. You can drop a tip via the link in the description of the video. You can also choose to give super thanks on YouTube or buy some awesome merch. Links in the description of the video again. Thank you very much. Let's move over to that tipper scene. Thank you to August's top tippers: Bravo 7910, Idget 751, Breachinator, Gussie Marie, Reese Mark 4, Lewis Grave, FNX Killer 43, Arshal Skardzi, Lee Mitsuki PC, and Xavier Uzumaki. You guys are crazy. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all for keeping my content running. I'll catch you on the next one, okay?